guys, in the last tutorial we covered these stall points, utilizing these diagonal planes and with our regular planes. The stall points that we've been using, we've added new ones, and we're going to try to use them the same amount as we've been using all the others. If you've taken the time to get really comfortable with your diagonal stalls, we're going to change it up a little bit. In the last tutorial, our breaking point for our diagonals was in front of us. But if we move that to the side, we end up with a totally different diagonal. We've covered dividing our cube this way, and we've covered dividing our cube this way. The cube can also be divided in other ways. It can be divided this way. From the camera's point of view, it might be hard to see, but if I turn this way, it'll make it a little bit more evident. The last planes we played with were cutting this way, okay? Like this. Making an X in front of me. The cross point of that X being the front stall point. Okay? Now, what we're going to change up a little bit is now from your perspective, if I continued this plane, do you see the diagonal here? I realize that it's difficult to see on the camera. A little easier in person. This is my front stall point and my top stall point. I have my wall plane and my horizontal plane. Between these two planes, I have a diagonal plane that goes this way. And it also comes this way. Not quite all the way down, but at an angle. Okay? Two more planes to add to our cube. And we are very, very close to hitting all the stall points at this point. Okay? All we're doing is moving that breaking point from the last tutorial off to the side here. So I'm breaking outwards this way, and I'm breaking out here.
My foot hits the pavement and the concrete don't give. Not like the soft grass where I used to live. Go down to the corner store to buy a bottled water, cause the shit from my tap's like it came from the gutter.
In order to transition between these two sets of diagonals, these two planes are accessible through this side stall point. Anytime I'm here, I can come out into those planes. Or anytime at either of these side points, I can move into these diagonals. If I want to switch to the X diagonals, all I need to do is get from this point to this point, because the X diagonals are accessible from the front stall point. If I am at this diagonal, I need only do a horizontal shift to the front and to access these diagonals. And to get back, a shift here, and then I'm in another set of diagonals. Practice accessing it with each hand. We've covered how to do the diagonals, and if you played with the pirouettes at all, you will have been in this position at some point to get to here. So, play with it a little bit with one hand, feel it out, and then change to these ones, and then change. And practice that for a little bit, practice it with both hands, come back, and we'll push forward.
Well, I can't get a job cause I can't afford to work. Got no money for the bus, Gus, let's discuss if we must. The cycle that won't allow me nothing, cousin. Hey, I got no loot so I can't get nice clothes.
Okay, so while a lot of the motor skills are very similar between these two sets of diagonals, we won't have to cover as many different types of drills, because everything that we covered for the X diagonals applies to the side if we just go like this. But to bring it in the front, to switch between, is all we're really doing. So we're not going to do as many drills here. We are going to cover a few because we do want to focus on the fact that we're facing forward. Like if we go to the top stall point like this, get a feel for that, and then to the front. Now we're going to go into the diagonal. So from top, diagonal, front. Top, diagonal, front. Then to the down side, diagonal, down, diagonal, front, diagonal, down. So practice it a little bit. And do the whole sequence. When you get that, we're going to change up the timing a little bit, and we're going to do the same manner, the same stall points, just with a different timing. Okay, so now what I want you to do is start off like this, just like we did before, but we're going to move it to these out stall points, like that. Yes. Now from here, when you're ready, pick your best hand and put it forward. We're going to go diagonal and back, diagonal, back. Just one hand. Then we're going to move the left hand, get it going. Get a feel for these planes. And then in front of us, lower it down a little bit. Then we're going to go to the lower diagonal. And then down. Diagonal. Front. Diagonal. Up. Play with that, get comfortable with it, and we'll continue.
This seems so right here. This seems so right here.
Now we're going to play a little bit more freely with these diagonals. How we're going to do that is while my right hand floats out to the right, it's going to go to the up diagonal stall. My left hand is going to go to the downside one. So I'm going to float out like this. It's very similar to just this. You're just tipping your planes a little bit. By working on it and exploring these planes, the better you get at it, the closer you are to mastering the cube. Change it up. See if you can see it better from an angle. Maybe from the side too? I don't know how well you can see it. Alright, so practice that, and we'll be moving right along then, won't we?
I no longer see me in your eyes. So either I'm gone or you're gone, or both of us moved on.
Another good exercise to do with these is in a sort of atomic. I'm sure you've played with these before with your point same time. If we play with that while in multiple planes, like use your wall plane versus this diagonal plane at the same time. And it's as easy to access as going like this. It'll register to the naked eye. It's different probably on the camera, but it will just register as one being higher than the other. And I can probably mimic it just like that. This is both in one plane, and this one is going to be an atomic. It's kind of like this, where you have your vertical and horizontal, except It's just tilted up a little bit. So play with that, and then start experimenting with different plane combinations. We're doing horizontal versus diagonal. Use the lower side, just down. Play with all the combinations of 1, 2, 3, 4 planes. You should be able to find the combinations on your own. Play with it, experiment, have fun. These planes are relatively unexplored, and I try really hard to not show too many patterns that could be popular or stick by themselves, because by doing that I influence your spinning, which is good, but I also don't want to influence your exploration, because the less influence you have, the more likely you are to follow your own direction. And if you do that, then I'm more likely to be able to learn from what you found. But if you're doing the same thing I'm doing, then how am I going to learn from you? So have fun, upload some videos. Yes, video responses, I've yet to get one. Send me a video response of either your progress, stuff that you have learned, have found, or just stuff you want to show me. That'd be great. I'd really appreciate it. So thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Later.
Super fragile and acceptable.